Hello and welcome to the next video from Dennis and Sysis on the maintenance of bowling greens. In this video I'm going to talk about late autumn and early winter maintenance. Hopefully your autumn season renovation went well. Your sward may still be a little bit thin, but don't worry. If you use fescue and bent grasses, remember they can take up to 6 weeks to germinate. Soil is still warm, so you still will get germination, but it's a little late to sow new grass. I just want to talk about something we hear in the industry now and again called putting the surface to bed. And a lot of groundsmen think that when they've done the renovation, that's it. Well, it isn't by a long way. And the more work you can get done now in the autumn and winter, the better your green will be next year. The reason I say this is think about, and I know we've had an unusual year, but think about the fact how many times you mow the green, how much walking goes on the green, how much soil compaction there is. And if you think that one aeration when you do your end of season renovation is going to relieve that compaction, then you're wrong. Try to get into the habit when the green is established to have a regular aeration program. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit later in the video. So, what are we looking for now? Well, what we need to do is get those young grasses established. The other thing, by now, if you did your renovation at the end of September, you're getting on for a number of weeks since you last fed. Always remember that a standard granular feed will only last 6 to 8 weeks in the soil. Bowling greens are normally quite sandy. And if they're quite sandy, then nutrients will leach out or wash out of the soil. And also remember, if the grass is still growing, then the plant will use it up, particularly nitrogen. So when your new grasses have established and perhaps you've been able to give it its first cut, you need to think about aeration and then giving it a feed. Please follow a soil test if you've had one done, or get some advice on feed. Remember, we're asking the grass plant to do a lot of things. You're cutting it short. It needs nutrients. And an autumn-winter feed is higher in phosphate and potash than it is in nitrogen. But you still need a little bit of nitrogen to make all those other nutrients work. Okay. Always walk the green at this time of year. Keep an eye on it, particularly for diseases. A nice little winter job on any green is to help to improve the airflow over a green. What I mean by that is we have a terrible habit when we build a bowling green to put a fence around it or plant a hedge, particularly a conifer hedge. This prevents airflow over the green. Airflow is important because it helps dry the green out and the grass leaf, which prevents disease attack. If you can also get in the habit of using a brush or a cane to get the dew off, that will help prevent a wet leaf, which is a perfect condition for diseases. One of the best ways of doing this is a Sysis drag brush. We'll just show you a picture now of a drag brush. I say, but there are other methods. There's the cane, or you could lightly have the brush attachment in one of your F10 mowers or something like that. Best thing to do if you're going to cut the green is to brush the green, go and have a cup of tea, do something, let the surface dry, and then cut the green, because a dry leaf will cut far better. While we're on the subject of mowing, we want to lift the height a little bit now. You want to be mowing around about 8 to 10 mil. Now, there's a number of reasons for that, but one of the reasons is if you lift the height of cut, right, root growth is proportional to top growth. So if you have a little bit more root growth, the plant produces more food and you get a little bit better root growth. And the better your root growth is, the better your green will survive during the summer. So just lift the green and we'll do what we call topping. And what I mean by that is you're only taking the tip off the grass. And that helps to thicken the sward and, like I say, develop root growth. While I'm talking about mowers, this will be the time to think about getting your mower serviced or booking the service in. In another video on the portal, you'll find some great tips about setting your mower and things like that. But please have your mower serviced. Think about the old saying about a knife, a sharp knife cuts clean. If your mower is blunt, that will rip the grasses and there's a risk of disease coming in. Replace the bottom blade if needed, get the cylinder ground and have the engine serviced. But think about booking that in now, because you've got to remember every other bowling green, tennis court, things like that are all going to want their mowers serviced at the same time. Okay, so only cut it as necessary. Cut it about 8 to 10 mil. Vary the direction so you don't make runs on the green. Great. So you're going to walk the green, keep an eye out for disease. You're going to brush the green. You're going to mow the green. Now I want to talk about aeration. Aeration is very, very important for lots and lots of reasons. The main reasons are for getting air into the soil, as the word says, aeration. But it also improves root growth. It allows moisture and nutrients to get in. It gives you a much healthier plant. And remember, I want that plant to be strong and healthy, with strong leaves to support the wood, which will give you a fast green. Now, if you've looked at the other video, you'll see I talk about taking a profile. That profile will determine very much what type of aeration you do. But as a guide, a standard solid tine in an autoturfman like behind me, or we're going to show you a picture of a dart, will be the perfect way to go. Don't also forget, there's nothing wrong with slit tines. It's a much quicker way of doing it, and Seises also provide you with a slit tiner, which we'll show you. Please note though, with slit tining, make sure you stop in March. Because if we have a very warm, dry spring, I'm hoping, then the slit tines could have a tendency to open up and affect the run of the wood. But solid tine you can carry on straight through to when we start bowling. Try and aerate once a month. Just a little point on it. If you hollow tined when you did your renovation, just keep an eye on levels, particularly on flat greens. You may need to top dress again if the hollow tines haven't filled up. And that's important because where you hollow tine and you create a dip, that will again affect the run of the wood. Now, please only aerate when the green surface is fit. I always used to like thinking about a lovely sunny winter's afternoon. And the reason for that is I don't want the aerator to make marks on the green. If we make marks on the green, then that could again create a run. Also, if we can get those holes open, it's a perfect time to feed again. So remember, as a basic guide, you want to be topping the green around 8 to 10 mil. You want to be aerating about once a month, a standard solid tine, 4 inches, 100 mil is great. And when you do that, try and combine with your fertilizer program. So perhaps you'll feed now and perhaps you'll feed then in the new year, but try and do it after you've aerated, because that will have made holes for the fertilizer to go down. Okay. Like I say, try and get away from this idea of putting the green to bed. Keep an eye open for disease. If your green is prone to a particular disease called fusarium, then if you can improve the airway, like I say, by opening up, getting air across the green, cutting the bottom out of the little hedges to get to flow over the green, then that will help prevent the disease. But some greens are prone to fusarium, and you may want to take some professional advice and think about a preventative fungicide. There are a number of other diseases such as red thread and things like that. But if you can keep your grass healthy with aeration and feeding, I guarantee the number of disease attacks will reduce. Okay. Now is also the time to perhaps think about doing any repairs, any major holes or anything like that. You want to lift the turf, put some top dressing on underneath. Because the soil is still warm, the turf will root back very quickly. Okay, so just to summarize, at this time of year, get into the habit of brushing the green. Nothing wrong with a Sisis drag brush. Top the green, 8 to 10 mil. Do it regularly. Get the sward to thicken up. You may only take a tiny amount off, but it will make a big difference. Aerate the green. Like I say, a standard 100 mil tine is good. If you've got a bigger problem, you may need to do something a little bit deeper, but only aerate when conditions are correct. Don't mark the green. Okay. Fertilize following your program when you have aerated. And doing these little things, little and often, will get your green into great shape. Okay. It's too late to think about additional seed unless you're going to use germination sheets. And also you want to think about looking at any weeds and things like that. I'm afraid it's too late. You may need to get them out by hand using a knife or something like that. Please get in the habit of being able to do a little bit in the autumn and winter. As I say, you'll get much better root growth, and that will help your green survive a dry summer. Hopefully we have one. I hope that's of help, and I'll come back to you again in another month where we'll talk about more winter work. All the best. Bye.